Interessante deutsche Netflix-Serie How to Sell Drugs Online Fast kehrt mit einer vierten und letzten Staffel zurück. Aber wird Moritz seine Lektion gelernt haben und dieses Mal vermeiden? Moritz is released from prison after 4 years and can finally start his own legal business. But unlike his business ideas, the world has moved on without him, and Dan has turned Bonus Life into a successful supplement startup, living the life Moritz always wanted. When he learns that Lenny not only works at Bonus Life, but also owns half the company, it's no question, Moritz has to take control of Bonus Life, no matter the cost. So these are 6 high-energy, quick-cut episodes that take place 4 years after Moritz was arrested for his My Drugs online trafficking business. Like many stories we see of people released from prison, they're typically out of touch with how the world currently works. Moritz is no different, and he's struggling to figure out what his next move will be. And then he has to be legit, or he risks ending right back in the slammer. Now, we have all the cast reprising their roles, and I love that the show doesn't try to make them younger than they are, but instead just have allowed the cast to age some, making them feel way more adult than when they were haphazardly making a crap ton of money and getting into serious danger with My Drugs. I mean, here, Lisa is a journalist trying to establish herself as a dedicated reporter. Lenny and Kira's relationship is stronger, plus Lenny has some physical developments that allow for new things to happen within the season. Dan, he's exactly how you might think. I mean, he's still getting by with his good looks and his charm. Now, Moritz still looks pretty much the same, which I think is really funny because it complements the stasis that he's in. Thanks to being separated from society for 4 years, I mean, he just has stayed still. He still wears his ratty ski jacket. I mean, he obviously hasn't had the opportunity to learn to drive. And even though he's sometimes straightened his hair to make him look older or maybe tougher, it always goes back to the curls. And combined with the length, he appears to not have aged at all. And just like in previous seasons, Moritz is both the hero and the villain. Typically, more villain. And we've seen emotional clashes and blow-ups between Moritz and his friends because of just how selfish he can be, putting everybody around him in harm's way or lying about actions, all for the sake of maintaining power and living out the fantasy that he has in his head. It was frustrating in the other seasons to watch a character choose poorly time after time and then not ever progress and grow from any mistakes that were made. Moritz has been like a toddler, defying authority at every turn, but also never gaining any wisdom when he makes things go sideways. And even though the other characters have called him out on this, especially Lenny and Lisa, Moritz remains the same. And that is almost a turning point for me with this series. Once again, Moritz is conniving and scheming, so hell-bent on his own desires, pursuits, and warped view of the world that he just ignores the effects that his actions have on his friends. I mean, even when we watch him have brief struggles with moral dilemmas, he somehow always convinces himself that he's in the right. It makes it difficult to root for him, especially in this season, because he's had the time to contemplate and grow. But I consistently was holding out hope that at some moment he would come back to his senses and see what an awesome life he's got with friends. And this kept me engaged throughout the show. Maximilian Mundt, who plays Moritz, he is excellent. I mean, he's able to create this persona who I was growing to hate, but also still wanted to see grow and change. Mundt plays Moritz to still have some charisma and likability, even if it's buried deep within the character. And I'm impressed at how, despite my feelings of just abandoning him and seeing him for the D-bag friend that he is, I had conflicting emotions and just wanted him and needed him to grow up. There's an interwoven mystery this season that isn't the most intriguing or even deep, but it does add the needed complications for the plot to tie portions together so that they make sense and they don't feel forced. These aren't obscured well, so don't expect the mystery portion to be a huge story driver. I do like that this arc allows for different areas of tension, though, other than just watching Moritz scheme against his friends. With the additional story arcs, this season becomes unfocused at times. Not that the central plot of Moritz and his devious plans lose their way, but we have several different complexities building, and because most are shallowly developed, it feels as though we're leaping around in the storyline just to be sure that we see everyone and hit upon the various plot points without providing enough context to actually care. I mean, many of them are put in place to be the stepping stones between the arcs, and while they all do fit, these are rushed and skimped on in detail. And there's a storyline that follows Lisa and her investigative reporting. And while it is pertinent to the entire season, it also feels as though this was created just for an excuse to include her more within the show, because she's gone off on her career and is separated from the other three. There's also a small arc involving Moritz's sister that feels very shoehorned in because it just doesn't enhance the plot or the characters. It's just an annoying distraction within the story. I mean, for the tiny areas with her inclusion creates a story opportunity, there are other more natural ways to introduce these connections. Her social influencer persona is also uninspired, and it creates some forced setups that are meant to be humorous, but they land flat. Outside of those forced moments, though, the series continues to be darkly comedic, typically using dire circumstances to set up humorous exchanges. I mean, a lot of these involve Moritz becoming flustered through the miscalculation of his own devices. But there are also many times where Lenny or Dan get to show their sarcastic wit. I mean, I don't remember belly laughing in this, but there were a bunch of times that I chuckled or snorted just thanks to the unexpected line deliveries. Now, something the show has never stayed away from is putting the characters in peril and then showcasing some brutal violence. I mean, sometimes it's sudden and silly, like when Bubba accidentally ended himself in season 1. Other times, though, it's a heated pursuit where ruthless dealers or killers are after Moritz or his friends. I mean, this format continues this season, and because it's the final season, all bets are off. The season kicks off with something dangerous looking, and it takes quite a while to go back to it. But along the way, we're introduced to some baddies who are calloused and more than happy to do away with anybody in their way. And thanks to some establishing scenes that showcase the brutality and violence, when Moritz gets entangled with these, there is a ton of tension and anxiety that's created. Now, a scene in the final episode boils down the entirety of Moritz and Lenny's friendship, illustrating all the strife, hurt, betrayal, and selfishness that had been shown by Moritz. And this is made even more powerful because throughout this season, we're shown Moritz's thoughts and memories as flashbacks, just revisiting all the great moments that he and Lenny shared, but viewing all the hurts as well. I mean, they've had a tumultuous relationship, pretty much entirely thanks to Moritz's behavior, but this works to excellently set up the final conflict, forcing the characters to face a very difficult decision. Now, for as much as I grew to dislike Moritz this season, thanks to just all his scheming and backstabbing, I do appreciate the way the series wraps up the character. I kept hoping for him to showcase just some sort of growth. While there isn't much, at a key moment, we're given a satisfying look at change. Now, the series continues to balance tension, anxiety, frustration, and dark comedy to deliver dysfunctionally enjoyable storytelling, even when arcs get distracted and lose their way. While the mystery portion of this season is predictable and a few storylines are mostly unnecessary, the overall narrative is engaging, filled with conflicting emotions that run the gamut. The cast gels well and brings enough variety to provide an array of complications that complement the plot and craft intriguing interactions. While there are shortcomings to the season, the series finale delivers aces when it concludes, completing the story satisfyingly and believably. There's no sex or nudity, a ton of profanity, and a bunch of violence. I give the fourth and final season of How to Sell Drugs Online Fast 4 out of 5 couches. Okay, so who is your favorite character within the show? For me, as much as I was disliking him, Moritz is still my favorite. But I would love to hear yours in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.